I'm Allison Van Hooser, and I am on a sold-out mission to develop highly successful leaders at all levels. In the 15 years I've been working throughout the food, financial, retail industries, and politics, I have become deeply aware of the powerful effects of leadership. In each episode, you will get strategies and actions you can use immediately in order to change you, your team, and your business. The question is, will you choose to own it? Will you put your stake in the ground and decide to do something with what you've learned today? This is Stake, the Leadership Podcast. Rise up from a slip-up. There's not a person out there who has never made mistakes at work, so don't let your social media highlight reel fool you any longer. Here's some encouragement though. The most successful people are usually the ones who've made the most mistakes along the way, so there's hope for all of us. It is a person's reaction and response to their mistakes that ultimately separates the successful few from the unsuccessful masses. Today I'm sharing my 3-step process, one that I learned the hard way, to help you rise up from a slip-up. In my 20s, actually, I turned 30 this year, so way back in my 20s, I definitely made my share of mistakes at work. Whether it was calling a code black to all staff and customers, rushing hundreds of them to a safe place, then realizing that siren I heard was not a tornado warning. Or maybe it was the time I left the bank doors unlocked all night. Can you believe that? Okay, I'm going to stop roasting myself for a minute. The thing about it is, if you go back and talk to all of my previous supervisors, managers, leaders, those mistakes that I made are not the things that they will tell you about me. Most of them don't even remember them. I know because I've asked. But what they do remember is that I consistently handled myself as a professional, and they were impressed. The thing is, even when you slip up, you can still go up. Here's my 3-step proven process to help you next time you make a mistake. First thing you should do, number 1, admit. Admit that it was you that made the mistake. I've probably gained more respect from my coworkers not by successfully leading massive projects or sharing new ideas that increase profits, but by owning my mistakes. You build trust, you break down walls, you increase communication, and you relieve tension when you step up to the plate and admit you've made a mistake. Now, if at all possible, I would encourage you to take time to prepare for steps 2 and 3 of this process thoroughly before you own up. Not because letting time pass will make things any better. It won't. But because you want to show everyone affected that you are someone to be taken seriously because you take yourself serious. However, if there's no time for that in the moment, if you're in the middle of a meeting when the mistake is realized and the boss wants to know who is responsible, then you have to pull up your bootstraps and own it. And when you do, make it very clear that you plan to dig deeper into making things right as soon as possible. So that was number 1, admit. Number 2, apologize. You've admitted fault, now you have to apologize. Here's the thing, when you make mistakes at work, it can affect other people, coworkers, subordinates, customers, and even shareholders. Apologizing may be hard for some people, but it is absolutely necessary. Apologizing helps mend the emotional aspect of relationships damaged in the way of trust, confidence, etc. by the mistake you made. Most importantly, your apology must be sincere, and it has to hit home to what is most important to the person or party affected. Acknowledge how the mistake hurt them and express true empathy for that. I say it all the time, but this is just another reason why, as a leader, you must deeply know the people you work with. Your understanding of them will affect multiple aspects of your own career. When you understand your people, you can understand exactly how and why they are hurt, and then you can tailor your apology in a way that is going to hit home for your people. So we've got admit, apologize, and finally, explain. You have to explain these 3 questions. How did you get to the place where you made the mistake? Were you rushing? Did you not do enough research? Whatever the reason, know it, own it, say it. Take time to nail down the root cause of why your mistake at work happened so you can make sure this doesn't happen again. You have to explain how are you going to fix it. Hopefully your mistake is one that can be fixed. If it's not, you have to move on to the next question in step number 3. If there is a solution, you've got to figure it out and you've got to do it. Last question, how are you going to make sure it doesn't happen again? Apologies are worthless if your actions don't change. You have to know the answer to number 1, how did you get to the place where you made the mistake? So you can figure out number 3, how are you going to make sure it doesn't happen again? If you continue to make the same mistake over and over, it's no longer a mistake, that's a choice. It's your future, so I would encourage you to choose wisely. Ultimately, this comes down to professionalism, and professionalism wins all day, every day. Professionalism is a choice, choosing to consistently handle yourself in a controlled, mature, intuitive, humble, just driven state of excellence. Then people will not ignore you. You will be recognized as one of the best, as a professional, and professionals get opportunities, even if they've made mistakes in the past. So my question to you is today, if you make a mistake going forward, will you put your stake in the ground? Will you follow this 3-step process so you can rise up from a slip up?